Welcome back to Hannity. All right, as we just laid out in our mini monologue, last week's FBI document dump related to the Bureau's investigation into Hillary Clinton is raising serious questions that the media, of course, is ignoring. Here with reaction, Fox News anchor attorney Greg Jarrett, from Judicial Watch Tom Fitton, and one of President Trump's attorneys, the chief counsel for the American Center for Law and Justice, Jay Sekulow. Jay, let me start with you because I wanted to lay this out. You got Uranium One, you got the dossier, and then you got the Ukraine issue. Nobody paid attention to these documents by the FBI. How damning are they from your perspective as a lawyer?
Well, it's hard for me to believe that they're not under serious investigation and scrutiny. You looking at the nature of the transaction, the laws that could be implicated here, and what took place, you would think, this would be subject to scrutiny. The question is it? I mean, that's the question right now that you've got to ask. Is the FBI actually investigating this? And the truth is, we may not know. I mean, you often do not know when the FBI is conducting an investigation. But if you just look at the evidence that's out there, but this goes back to what we talked about over a year ago. We look at the whole series of events with the email deletions and the server and all of those issues, and there James Comey gives it a basically punts and gives it a pass. So you talked about equal justice under the law. We're certainly not seeing that right now.
All right, Greg Jarrett, remember the entire issue? Hillary Clinton was telling us everything was predicated, I only used one device. And then the video came out. What do you use? An iPhone, a BlackBerry, an iPad. Then we find out they took a hammer and they destroyed them. Then she hands over to the FBI other ones that don't have SIM cards. Now, maybe I'm not the lawyer that you are, but gee, why do I think if I did that, I'd be going to jail and calling you from a payphone?
Because you would, and I'd pick up and help you out. But the truth is, they only handed over 2 smartphones.
Because he's a good guy, Greg.
Without SIM cards, which is like saying, I want your computer. Oh, okay, here's my keyboard. Good luck with that. What's also noticeable here is that they failed or refused to hand over 13 mobile devices. Failure to cooperate and comply with an FBI request and destroying things, that's obstruction of justice. And let's not forget, she destroyed 33,000 emails. On March 4th, she received a subpoena from Congress saying preserve those emails. What did she do? 3 weeks later, on March 25th, 2015, she destroys 33,000 emails. That's destruction of evidence. That is obstruction of justice.
Tom Fitton, you spent a lot of time making these Freedom of Information Act requests from the government. All right, Pam Brown did a great job putting that all together. What does it tell you from your perspective and what you developed?
Well, we wouldn't be getting these FBI documents. We sued to get the records. Remember, James Comey made a big show last year saying, well, I'm going to release the Clinton investigative files. Well, they've been slow-rolling the release of information, and we wouldn't get any of this information if the investigation was still open. So that ought to tell you that there's a real problem. The FBI was gamed by the Clinton legal team, it looks like. They didn't care they didn't get the documents or they didn't get the computer records, and they just moved it along. And in the meantime, they're dripping out a slow drip of these documents month by month. They're telling us it's going to take almost well over a year to get all the documents, maybe longer.
And Jay, it's the opposite of the deep state selective leaking on the president. And more importantly, what do you make of the grand jury reference? Can you infer anything from that at all?
Well, it's hard to. I mean, could it be that a grand jury was impaneled? Possibly. But I asked this question. We look at the standards that were at play here, both the legal standards, but also the way in which the case apparently was investigated, if investigated is even the right word. But what happened? I mean, and you remember the point where Cheryl Mills was an employee, but also Secretary Clinton's lawyer, and they allowed that at the same time? None of these rules would be allowed for anybody else. So you've got a situation, you talk about, equal justice, which you open with in the monologue. Here's the real fundamental issue. Why is it that the 2 standards are so clear before the American people and everybody acts like it's okay? It's right there for everybody to see, and everybody thinks, oh, that's okay. That's fine. Yep.